G'day, this is for VADA.
Okay. And where were you born?
I was born in Innisfail, Queensland, Australia.
Okay. And where are your parents from?
My mother was born in Dar es Salaam, South Africa, and my father was born in Armidale in New South Wales, Australia.
Okay. And when did they move to Australia?
My father is Australian.
Mm-hmm.
My mother came to Australia via the UK and a few other routes.
Mm-hmm.
My father was a geologist in colonial service.
Okay.
And they met in Arnhem Land, which is in sort of far north Queensland between the two bites, in Aboriginal culture.
Uh-huh.
They were teaching at the time.
At university or?
No, so they both went to different universities,
Mm-hmm.
and they met while teaching in a very remote outback part of Australia,
Mm-hmm.
teaching Aboriginals.
Wow, what age?
Mum was late. They were both 26, 27, 28 in that vicinity, so mid-career.
Mm-hmm. So now you live where?
I now live in Melbourne, Australia.
Okay. And where would you say your dialect is from?
I would say that it's very averaged Australian. I grew up all over Australian East Coast and West Coast. I've been overseas a lot, to the UK, to the Solomon Islands for a very big period of time, Papua New Guinea, Singapore, South Africa for a little while. So a little international, but very Aussie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So describe Melbourne for me.
Melbourne's a fantastic place. Quintessential Melbourne is the cafe cultures, the black cobbled stones, microbreweries, wine culture, dinner culture, good food, good wine.
Mm-hmm.
A river runs through the centre of the city, which is not used for transportation. It's simply a beautification. Naturally, the Yarra River, and it's not a centre of banking and commerce. It's a centre of hospitality, of sciences, education, engineering. And performing arts, particularly a very large underground performing arts industry, along with a mainstream musicals and theatre production, but a lot of movies, Australian productions, etc. And particularly the underground culture of arts in Melbourne is particularly strong.
Great. What's the climate like?
Wet.
Really?
The Australian summer is very hot and very dry.
How hot is hot?
42, 45 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
The winters aren't that cold. They're 5 degrees to 18 degrees Celsius in winter. But we get a lot of blanketing rains that come off the Antarctic. So the Antarctic sheds low pressure systems as they wash over the Australian bight. They hit Adelaide first, and then they come across the land. And Melbourne is in a horseshoe of mountain ranges, and so we have a lot of precipitation that hits the mountain ranges and then starts to form sort of nimbostratical type clouds.
Mm-hmm.
So you might have days worth of wet weather.
Wow. And are people athletic there? Is there a lot of sports?
There is a lot of sports, not as much as the northern end. So Sydney and Brisbane are very athletic, but Melburnians, because we have one of the more severe winters in an Australian context, and because we're a lot more social, going out and cafes and what have you, there's a little bit more acknowledgement of maintaining fitness and again it's a university city. There are two leading, Melbourne University and Monash University, leading institutions in medical research as well.
Okay.
Particularly IVF research. So there's a lot of understanding about the effects of bad weather and hard winters. Nothing like the Americas in terms of cold, etc. But we're very conscious as a people group.
So what's a typical day for you? Or you as a Melbourneian, do you take a nap time at 3 o'clock, or is it?
So I've just finished university, and I'm now I have started work, and I work in the city. So I wake up at 6 or 7. I have a flexible work hour. I like a good strong espresso in the morning. I catch up on all my emails in my office at home until about 9 o'clock, and then at 9 o'clock I drive an hour along the beachside suburbs of Melbourne. So I avoid the freeways. I live in Frankston, which is sort of about 45 kilometres southeast of the city. And I drive the beach sides, past marinas and very nice houses, all the way into the city. And then I work for a software company, not as a software engineer, but as an integrations engineer. And so most of my work is making sure that our systems work with other people's systems. And I'll finish up at about 6 p.m. in the city, and most often than not, I'll then catch up with friends from uni or from life for dinner or a few beers. Most often than not as well, my wife will meet me in the city, and we'll go out and experience some underground theatre. My wife is a performing artist, so a lot of half-price tickets.
Good, good.
And then so we'll head home together, and I'll drive back, and we'll be. It's a full day, but where all Aussies are laid back. I mean, there's an understanding about a good work ethic at the same time as getting the job done. So.
Right. Stop now.